Hey all, here are OS Reviews. Today we're taking a quick look at the PadMate Pamu Fit. These are a pair of TWS wireless buds from a company that came out with some pretty quirky designs a couple of years back, inspired by the scrolls as well as timepieces. And although the Fit aren't quite as daring in terms of design, it still has this translucent shell that reminds me of a pair of IEMs or in-ear monitors, advertised to be more ergonomic and secure. It is a one-size-fit-all design, and they're rated to be, of course, sweat-proof. And they do have active noise cancellation as well, claiming to reduce up to 20 decibels of sound for things like fans and engine noises. They get upwards of 15 hours combined with the battery case, with the buds lasting 6 hours of continuous music listening, and the case will get you an extra 2 or 3 top-ups. They also have a low latency mode that can be good for gaming as well as watching videos, and comes in colors of black and white. Last but not least, they have relatively large 13mm dynamic drivers built on in. What is interesting though is, unlike some of their other models that we've seen recently, the Pamu Fit no longer supports their companion app for further customization, which means that everything in terms of volume controls, ANC, is all done using the touch pad on the top. Nonetheless, the shell here also claims to have a antimicrobial coating, which is interesting, and uses the latest Bluetooth 5.3. Although it is using the standard Bluetooth audio codecs of SBC and AAC, and it doesn't have, say, aptX or LDAC support on this particular model, so not quite hi-fi grade, but it also sells for under $60, often goes on sale for less, so a little bit more of a less expensive variant for them. Otherwise, in the box, very simple. We have just the buds themselves, a USB Type-C charging cable. By the way, this model does not support Qi wireless charging, so again, slightly stripped back in terms of functionality, a little bit more of a lower cost unit, and then just a quick user guide. So it is interesting that you don't get any silicone tips, for instance, in the box, since, like I said, it is a one-size-fit-all design. That means the rubber on the back here is attached and cannot be removed. We'll talk about the comfort and ergonomics more in a moment, but otherwise we have this acrylic shell that is semi-translucent, allowing you to peek into the buds. Looks quite good, although it is made out of a polycarbonate plastic, so it is relatively lightweight. We have just the Type-C port for charging, and that is more or less it. Here they are next to the Redmi AirDots, for instance, about the same in terms of the overall dimensions, but even a touch thinner. This is going to slide pretty easily into pockets as you are traveling around, and significantly smaller than their past devices, which look maybe a little bit more flashy, but also take up much more volume. With that being said, again, the battery life kind of reflects it as well. 15 hours of combined juice with the case is not really endurance champion. Even products like the AirPods can stretch upwards of 20 hours, if not longer, so that's one area where you will have to top this up if you're regularly listening to it. Small LEDs in the top here also show the battery status once you remove and pop the buds back in. Buds themselves have a little bit of a sparkly texture to them, which is again treated using that antimicrobial coating. It's otherwise very glossy and pretty easy to tap on. Touch controls felt responsive in my usage. Otherwise, again, the back is quite interesting because of this fin, which is permanently attached, providing a little bit more of extra grip. With that being said, because again the rubber cannot be removed, the level of comfort may vary from person to person. If you have smaller versus larger ears, for instance, it may feel a little bit tight. Although these are comfortable, in my personal opinion, I still felt their presence when I was wearing them. A final note on fit would be the lack of a more traditional silicone tip means it's not quite as deep into your ear canals as you're wearing it. I wouldn't say it really affects the audio quality, although sometimes if you do have a really tight inward seal, it may feel like you have some extra vibrations in terms of the bass response. At least they're trying to experiment with different form factors for folks that want something, again, a little bit more oriented for sports and movement. Moving into audio quality and performance, thankfully the Pamu Fits don't disappoint in terms of it has a very clean connection. There is no hints of any static or hissing in the background. I was able to walk around the room around 10 meters or so from the device, and it still remained connected without any interruptions or hiccups. Surprisingly packs a punch in terms of bass. Like I said, even though the actual part here doesn't stick as far into your ears, I was still able to delineate between drum beats and gave me a bit of a kick as I was listening to the sound. What surprised me is that the soundstage also felt a bit wider than expected, where if you're listening to certain instrumentals that have been recorded with a lot of different elements from various microphones and positions, you're able to delineate between that quite well, and overall doesn't miss too much details in the mids and trebles either, especially the mids, I'd say, for instrumentals. Trebles also sound good in terms of vocals are clean and still have enough sufficient detail, although that's an area where, again, if you are picking up more expensive buds, maybe with dual drivers, coupled with higher resolution audio codecs, you will technically get a little bit more detail squeezed in there. But it's not bad at all, especially for something like this. If you're listening for, again, pop music, as you are exercising, moving around, they will still more than do the trick, get plenty loud, and again, very immersive. And the efficacy of the low latency mode does make a difference once you switch it on, but it does introduce a little bit loss of detail, like on most buds. So it's going to be nice for watching videos with less delay between the audio and the video, but if you want the best quality, you can also turn it off for pure music or podcasts. Last but not least, the ANC efficacy has also been pretty good, I'd say. I wouldn't necessarily claim that they're the best in the world, especially if you compare them with more expensive rivals from, say, Sony or from Bose, but it does make a difference once you switch them on, and things like engine sounds from a car or a plane or subway do get mostly drowned out. So that's more or less it as far as our hands-on review of the Pamu Fit from Padmate. And all in all, I'd say this is a pretty decent performing pair of buds. Sound quality is also excellent in terms of having plenty of bass, but not too overpowering, still pack sufficient volume and detail. These are also extremely portable and easy to take with you when on the go. With that being said, again, battery life isn't quite the longest that we've seen, plus the lack of support in their companion app for the Pamu Fit is a little bit of a shame. Maybe that's something they can add in the future. You can check out additional details if interested in the links down below, but for now that's been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews. It's been the Pamu Fit.